Ready to kick this thing off?
Always.
And forever. Pioneering programmers, product pros, and pixel-perfect polymaths. Prepare your processors. This is episode 54 of the Geekoid podcast. I hope I have that number right. I could totally not have it right. Anyway.
I think you're right. I think you're right.
Cool,
And you know what?
cool.
If you aren't, you know what? You're on the next episode.
We'll fix it in post. Anyway. I think we should probably start this on a bit of a downer and then just improve the mood from there. A true hero of the American
you want to start there? Oh, okay. All right. We'll start there.
Sadly passed away. So Chuck Norris, at the age of 86, succumbed to some unknown complications. Was revived temporarily, where he corrected some inconsistencies on his own death certificate, shook the hands with the doctor, and then proceeded to then go meet God and give a roundhouse kick to the face.
It's really good. It's really good, man. It's really good.
But yeah, Chuck Norris, an absolute legend, starred in over 20 films. He's probably best known for the TV series Walker, Texas Ranger, which ran for 8 seasons and generated almost $700 million in revenue. I didn't realize it was that huge.
You are welcome. If I didn't do this shit in the background, I would not make you sound so good.
Shout out to Jarrad for doing the research. But I mean, he was decades and decades. And man, on one level, he was an incredible martial artist, a true icon, especially of the 80s. And like when I was growing up, like he was the cornerstone of the action flick industry. But then like on top of all that, we got memes on top of memes. And like the Chuck
and
Norris,
he did not deny any of them. He did not like go against any of them. He was like, yeah, that's what it is. Yep, sure.
Yeah.
There was so much research. The research I pulled up, like his martial arts acumen for decades, and his tournaments and his belts and everything. This could have been a whole half of the segment. Hey, I'm trying to do a podcast. God, corgis. Can you fucking believe it? But I did not. So I do, like I'm telling you all, like we've done the research to go in, but I always say like, hey, go a little further. We're giving you snippets of this, but there's way more details for you to like pull up. We're just giving you the highlights of some interesting stuff. But one of them is Chuck Norris's, like, the stuff he did as far as his black belts and martial arts. It's unbelievable. Crazy. There will definitely be a documentary, and this will be a documentary I will definitely want to watch. Do you know his first film was Enter the Dragon? And for any of you who are a little bit younger than us, and I'm barely of that age to even remember, Enter the Dragon was also, I think, Bruce Lee's first film. It was 1972. To age myself, folks, I was born very late, okay, 1979. But that was both their first foray into films, movies, all that kind of stuff. And Chuck was actually very similar to the same size as Bruce Lee. He's always been kind of a small, short kind of guy. And
full of
Chuck,
power, though.
Full, super. And I think they asked, or Chuck Norris did, he gained 20 pounds to have a slight difference in size. However, it didn't stop him in also what he did at that time period, filming and sparring with Bruce Lee. And they already had a friendship before then in the 1960s due to their martial arts and all this. They were basically coming up at the same time. That's
they were
the coolest thing ever, man.
They were two of the largest martial arts influencers, like before the term influencer was even mainstream by a few decades, maybe even half a century, if you think about it. But really, they were both at the very top of their game, and to have them both on screen, starting their careers at the same time, is just kind of mind blowing. And it's one of the very few instances where Chuck Norris gets beat.
Very few.
Yeah,
but it's Bruce Lee.
Bruce Lee.
And he's also the main star. I remember growing up and watching Delta Force. I think it was the Delta Force, but I always called it Delta Force, and Missing in Action. Folks, if you like cheesy 80s, early to late action films like I do, I was absolutely raised on all that stuff with my dad. It was a different time period. You don't probably do that stuff with 9, 10, whatever year olds, but you did at that time period.
Well, I'm absolutely doing that with Stone when he turns 9.
Whatever. It's so cheese. It's so good. Like Stallone and Schwarzenegger, Brosnan, like they were all. That was all it was. It was a bunch of. I don't even know if there were that many romantic comedies, but there were dramas always, romances, and some crazy John Carpenter horror, and then there were just ridiculous action buddy comedies, action. It was so much
action, comedy, romance, like True Lies.
RoboCop, Total Recall, just so good, man. It's my favorite time period. Ugh. Yeah, and we had cable. We don't have cable anymore, but those were
some people still have cable.
2 of those films, Delta Force and Missing in Action, I saw all the time as I was Saturday and cartoons are over. And I was like, now what? What do I do? My favorite cameo, and I put in the docket, was Expendables 2. And I forgot they got him into the second one. I thought he came in later in the Expendables franchise, whatever amount of movies they did. But he was in the second one. It was only a small bit part, but he came in and he looked badass, and I was like, it's Chuck fucking Norris.
Yeah, when he showed up on screen, it was just like, oh my god, yes. I don't think anybody was sad about that moment.
So, you can poo-poo him on whatever politics as he got older, but I don't care about that. When in the end, you look at people like Queen, Michael Jackson, Chuck Norris, David Bowie, like they all had their own quirks or whatevers. They were great artists within their realm, and I can't say anything in that regard negative to Chuck Norris.
Yeah, absolute legend. So we'll pour one out right here.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Oh, cheers
to the legend Chuck Norris. But no, let's keep going and kind of start talking about things a little bit more positive. MacBook Neo continues to impress across the board. I haven't pulled the trigger yet, and I probably will soon. I almost bought an iPad Air today, and the only reason I didn't is because
the Neo,
they didn't have any in stock.
Okay. All right, fair. Like people are.
I like the Neo. I think it'd be perfect for Rachel to replace the old ass MacBook that we have. But like for me, right now, I'm really looking at. I want something to have cellular connectivity Like that's the big
yeah.
hang up for getting a Neo or any MacBook at this point. But
the Air would definitely be in that genre. And people are just blown away by the iPad Air. And especially because it has 12 gigs of RAM and this weird shortage we're having compared to 8 that the Neo has. Now, everybody's looking at, well, we're at A18 Pro for the Neo. You upgrade, it'll go to 19. Well, 19 does have 12. So, and also, folks, if don't wait a year, buy it now. It's an Apple product. You can sell it for dang near the same price you bought it for. So, minus $100.
Depreciation is stupid on these devices. It's kind of...
Yeah, it's really good. And Apple is doing trade-ins even on laptops along with their iPads and iPhones and all that. So, like, don't wait to buy a Neo if I'm now telling you, like, oh, it's going to have an A19 and it'll have 12 gigs. Yeah, it'll be better. But if you need it now and it'll suit your purpose now, do it now. And you will have no qualms selling it or trading it in, whatever, in a year or 9 months, whatever it is. But the iPad Air is... Everybody is now looking at the Air line with the M4 and 12 gigs in the Air, and then the M5 in the MacBook Air, and they're like, I don't know why you need any more than this, actually. It's really, like, crazy. Like, they've really differentiated the Pro line as being Pro line. The M5 iPad Pro, people are having really hard justification as to now why buying it, unless you're doing like 200 clips on, Logic for music or stuff like that. Some neural stuff, some AI stuff, but it's, in the end, it is a tablet. It has its limitations. It is still an iPad OS. But the Air with an M5, people are having no issues. Now it's getting into, like, are you doing NASA level stuff? Are you doing Hollywood level stuff that you then need to go to a Pro? Or, like, and it's more GPU. It's been really centering more on GPU. If you want more GPU, Pro. If you want the GPU and you want, like, the gaming device on Apple, Max, which nobody's going to pay that much for a gaming device, right?
There are people that will pay that much. I mean,
it's a lot of money, man.
Yeah, but I mean, to some people, money's not a thing. I did want to dig into something that I did see on the internets this past week, specifically related to the MacBook Pro and the Max chip, that the 14-inch compared to the 16-inch is not getting the same performance numbers, even though it's the same chip, because of, I believe it's the power consumption. And the 14-inch is not able to deliver enough power to the chip consistently to really meet the same benchmarks that the 16-inch is seeing.
Yeah, that body size for that, it's not a big chip, but that powerful, that huge amount of energy it's pulling, and then the gigantic amount of heat it's dissipating, or emitting, sorry, is pretty astronomical.
Yeah, so I don't think I'll be picking up a 14-inch. I know we joked in our previous conversations. I was like, yes, I want a 14-inch Max fully spec'd with 18 bajillion terabytes of storage and all the RAM, but I don't see that happening anytime soon.
No, if anyone is listening to us and they're considering a Max chip, thanks for listening to this podcast. Wow. But no, if you're buying a Max chip, you're also buying a 16-inch bigger body, bigger display. You have no I have no reason understanding why you would want the 14-inch Max. Now, if you're buying a Pro with a Pro chip, sure, go for it. But you're doing things that, like, our podcast, write in the comments why you're listening to us, and you are going to buy it. Because I'd be like,
we would love
thank
to
you
know.
so much. Yeah. Yeah, it's a whole other level, man.
If you're using that much compute, I'm a little bit surprised that you're not honestly offloading that level of compute to another dedicated machine, whether it be a desktop or a server.
Which I'm sure, like, this is totally a third monitor, a second monitor. I mean, you're also getting into territory like a Max, an M5 Max with a 16-inch screen and a Pro body. It's a beefy laptop in this day and age.
It's still smaller than my Corsair.
Yeah, well, it's coarser than my. It's coarser. It's smaller than my ROG without a battery.
Also true, yeah.
Hey, gaming's come a long way too. Yeah, like that's your desktop. And then you could travel-isk with it, kind of. Sure. I mean, it's a lot of weight, but you could do it. And she's a big girl.
Is she thick?
For most people, 90% of people, the M5 Air will do you perfectly fine. For a brief little other 5%, the Pro, and then you have to be into a whole other echelon for the Max. Like, they've really done this tier system where it's a lot. And, you know, there is definitely the Apple tax on that. But now there's nobody that can compete, and nobody that can.
The hardware is so good that really the Apple tax has disappeared. Like,
it's
the value that
crazy,
you
dude.
get for the product is so good.
It's so good. Like, the Neo is so good. I think the only thing holding it back is 8 gigs of RAM. Everybody has said that since the beginning, and that's exactly what's holding it back. However,
People are saying it's not an issue.
There's some swap between the SSD and the RAM, but like, as long as you're doing things consciously, you're working on one product, which most people do. They're not doing Logic Pro and Final Cut, because how are you doing a brain like that, where I'm building a song and I'm editing my video? That's crazy. 12 gigs will help it a lot. Next year it will be cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. Honestly, like 12 gigs with an A19, Jesus Christ. That's crazy, man. It'll be so good. At the same price. Like, I don't see them. And that's what's been crazy too, is that they've kept the same prices on so many of these devices for so long. Except for the iPhone.
The prices on the devices.
Very good, Erik.
Devices.
I mean, at this point, like, gosh, if you even think like an A19 with 8 gigs being in a standard iPad, non-laminated screen, which is poo-poo. That's the only thing I would poo-poo on it. But that's a crazy little secondary device. Like right now, like I did in the last episode, I'm doing it again. Like, I'm using my old iPad with an A16. It was very different then. They had an X and a Z, or a Y and a Z. I have the A16 Pro Y or whatever. But I'm using it as a secondary display to have other stuff off my screen. But I mean, if you use it in this kind of area, like, honestly, kind of just, if you do it in this, grab a base iPad and get continuity and universal and sidecar and then travel with a Mac Neo and a base iPad. And holy God, what a cool setup.
So, Apple killing it. I hear we may even get some new products next week. It's been teased that a new HomePod has been ready to launch for a while alongside an Apple TV.
I don't know if that's coming out next week or next month.
Not necessarily next week. I heard, I don't know what's coming next week, but I heard that there might be a product, but those other two have been ready to go. They've just been waiting to add some polish to Apple Intelligence.
Yeah.
Yeah. Who knows? I might be waiting another year for that.
I don't think so. I think it's going to be fall. I think they're really pushing on that one. And I think we might get hints at WWDC because that's when
we might get hints in a couple weeks because it's Apple's 50th anniversary.
That's crazy, man.
And they're like, I hear they've been very tight-lipped about what's going to be going on, but they're definitely going to be celebrating, and they're probably going to be teasing a whole lot of stuff to come. I would be my guess.
Yeah, Cook's been doing a lot of interviews lately, just looking back at Apple, and this is a segment. This is a preview to we'll talk about later. But if anyone knows about Apple, like it was Jobs, it was Steve from the get-go, from a garage with Wozniak to Apple, and then a few XNet or Next or whatever, and then him leaving, working with Pixar, selling it to Disney, and then coming back. There were CEOs in between then, a CEO of Coca-Cola and whatnot. So Cook was the first change in Apple of all these years, and it was a handoff of a person who was about to pass away. He knew his time was nigh. This is the first time in Apple's career or whatever
existence
that the past CEO is not going away anytime soon. Like, they can be on the board, they can be on the chair, they can help mentor and advise and whatever. That didn't happen with Tim Cook, with Steve Jobs. Cook was with the company for a long time, but
I mean,
Cook
he
was
helped
definitely
revolutionize Apple's
in a whole
supply
different
chain.
Yeah, totally. And I don't think Jobs would have done that. He was a revolutionary. He was
He's a product.
He was a product guy. He was a hype guy, and then everybody has to figure it out. And then Ives has left. However, he's left, a good legacy, and people have grown and built UI, UX, and hardware and all that around. But this is a first time. So this 50th is actually a big deal for Apple and a big deal for us as far as how this transition is going to go moving forward with most likely John Turnus, which I'm alluding to. So yeah, this is Apple hitting 50, their CEO not passing away, and a smoother transition to the next CEO. This is exciting news and hopefully fruitful, because Cook is really laying final groundwork to almost be like, not cruise control, but this is pretty good, man. I'm handing you something pretty great. Also, I get to step away and be like, pretty great, look what I did.
So I think the challenge, like, Apple is in a very good spot. They're a money printing machine, but that's not to say the future is certain. Like, they're set up really well, but there's a lot of disruption coming in automated robotics and how people actually use their devices. What is AI going to disrupt next?
We might as well just move to this now then, because I think we're like so into it. This was saved for last discussion, but like
I thought you led us there, and I was like, all right, I'm just gonna roll with it.
Well, no, but like, yeah, let's do it. Like, you're totally right. Automated Robotniks. It's Sonic the Hedgehog. If anybody, I watched the teaser trailer for Sonic 4. I'm really excited for it. This is a good year for movies, by the way. Side note, we'll talk about that too.
Yeah.
But you're right, and I alluded to this. Like, you have, I mean, we've been saying it since episode 1. The AI boom and hardware shortages and hikes and robotics that we saw at CES. This is not a disruptor, but I don't think it's a disruptor. It's not a
sea change. It's a change in the fundamental way that we operate and impacts every facet of our life. It is the equivalent of the internet, the personal computer, the mobile device revolution. It's maybe bigger than all of those combined.
Skynet.
Yeah, I mean that's the end state, but
I love you.
Hopefully, it's a few years before we get there.
So we saw Phil Schiller and Sarah Bond step away, originally for advisory roles. That's TBD on if at least Phil is doing.
Sarah Bond didn't step away for an advisory role.
She was originally supposed to step away advisory, and that was short-suited. Yeah, she was like, well, fuck this, I guess, which is still quiet and good on her. Phil allegedly is still in an advisory role. We have a new CEO for Xbox, is what I was trying to say. We can see the path that John Turnus is going to be the next CEO for Apple. And if he's not, it'll be very surprising. With all of that, Xbox had another little turnabout of corporate people who have left. One of them was the right-hand person for Sarah Bond. Normally, folks, if corporate does a big CEO change, other people under that will also have a change. Normally, voluntarily. It's like, oh, well, it's a new change of guard. I had already 5 other offers. I'm just going to move on. So it's never like a horrible thing. So some people have pictured it right now as like, oh my gosh, more corporate level people are leaving. No. And matter of fact, one of them, a lady with the last name, and I'm going to butcher the last name, Zhang, Z-H-A-N-G, it's probably Zhang. She already had an offer with Netflix to help with them develop their Netflix for gaming, which we talked about earlier. If you don't remember, look up past episode. And if you still don't remember, Google it. But Netflix is pushing for that, which is kind of cool, and we'll see how that works. So she was already out the door. My point is, you're going to see a whole new shift in the corporate structure higher up, in the C Corp area of Xbox, Apple, and maybe others. And I did put do you know of any others, Eric?
I didn't read that far.
That's fine. And
words and some numbers.
Thanks. This is the flip side of me doing research and writing things down. God. So what's going to happen we have 3 more years of this current administration. We've seen tariffs. We've seen data centers. We've seen oil.
2 years and 2 months. Come on.
Okay. I'm glad somebody's counting down.
That's what it is.
That's still a long time. That's still 3 years in my head. Okay. So, new CEOs are going to take over. It's kind of opportune. It's like, I've been doing this for 20, 30, 40 years. This would be a good time for me to I'm in my 60s. Oh, God, another 3 years.
So here's another thing that is going to happen this year, most likely. That is going to just create shockwaves through every industry. And that is, I believe, OpenAI and Anthropic are both planning to IPO this year. And those will be...
What's IPO? What is IPO? Sorry.
So that is when they take the company public. So the initial public offering. So that's when they join the NASDAQ or the New York Stock Exchange, and us commoners can buy and sell shares of the stock.
Allegedly be part owners. I mean, not allegedly, you are, but
yes,
a very small percentage.
Yeah. But, I mean, these will be the largest IPOs in the history of the universe by an order of magnitude. Because they're going to IPO at $1 trillion frickin' dollars. That's a T. That's 1,000 billions. That's a lot of, sorry, Susan, fucking money.
I love you, Mom.
So, and here's the thing, do you want to compete with these companies? Because I will tell you right now, OpenAI will for sure announce a physical product before the end of the year. And they will definitely be going head-to-head with Apple, with Microsoft, with Amazon. They will be competing with all of them. And it becomes really weird because they allegedly just signed a $50 billion deal with Amazon, which is in violation with their current deal with Microsoft, and Microsoft is planning on suing OpenAI. So, shit's getting wild.
So how are these new CEOs going to handle even that? So you've got robotics, you've got AI, you've got all the hardware from data centers. You've got
maybe World War III popping off.
Because no ceasefire, quote unquote, which is a lie.
Ceasefire,
but whatever.
Who knows? Maybe China hits Taiwan before the end of the year too, and then just it is. We are in unprecedented times right now. To be the
if you were a CEO, what are things? Not what would you do to change it? What would you do? What are things you need to? Gosh, where are you going, Jarrad? What are things you have to consider for your particular company? So, the two that I'm talking about is the Xbox division within Microsoft. Not even Microsoft, the Xbox division. And then one that maybe we understand more, Apple. You better take a long drink to think about that.
I think there's a few things you need to consider. One, which I think Apple has started moving towards, is figuring out how to create a more resilient supply chain. If China is no longer a safe partner to operate with, where do you produce all of your products? And so they've started producing some stuff back in the United States, but they've also looked at India and Thailand and Vietnam as other partners for production. So I think strengthening your supply chain, making it more resilient, that is probably a top priority so that your products can keep flowing. That's number one. Number two, keeping an open mind, having really talented people working on AI, understanding how it's changing the ecosystem so that you can capitalize on the latest changes. So last week, GTC, which is the Graphics Technology Conference, which originally was what the moniker was for, but I don't know if that is actually true anymore. But NVIDIA was basically, it's their big conference, and everybody in AI was there. A huge conference. Jensen Huang spoke for 2.5 hours, the CEO of NVIDIA, and all these different things about what's coming next, where they're at, and if you're anybody who's anybody in technology and a CEO, like, you were watching that keynote to know where NVIDIA is going, what they think of the future, because they're very transparent. Like they lay out their roadmap for the next 2 to 3 years, and then they execute on it. So you can see where they're going, what they think the changes in the market will be. And I think you need to have people who are attuned to that and the changes that are coming with AI. So I think those are resilient supply chain, be prepared and adaptive to future changes in AI. Those are the two big things I think all CEOs in tech companies need to be kind of thinking about.
Do you think the robotics part plays a part in any of that right now? Because you did mention it, and CES was a huge factor. But like we saw, like we're seeing Weibos, whatever. We're seeing, Apple tried for 10 years with, automated cars.
And then give up.
Well, I mean, they spent a lot of money and they missed the AI section of that because they were hoping, and it didn't work out. But we're seeing more, we're seeing dancing robots during the Olympics and whatever. Like, I don't know if that's whatever, but it's something. Is that something for these CEOs to also consider over the next, let's say, not even the 3 years that we keep doom scrolling about, but the next 5 years?
So I think robotics is an interesting thing because it will, for the most part, impact a lot of physical industries and things that have not experienced the level of disruption that tech companies have. I don't know how it's going to impact the tech companies that we talk about on a regular basis, because there's most of the work is knowledge work and not roboticized, aside from the actual assembly and manufacturing. You're raising your finger at me.
I did think, though, we've, and there's been a lot of early things going on with AI, and we talked about with the Minecraft and seeing the research even from 2023 and how you give them a prompt or a very small description and then they can flow with something much more complicated and diverse. And it makes me really want to buy iRobot, the movie, but slap that into a robot. And we're starting to see, if you go on YouTube, doom scroll again, not maybe the most great videos, because usually they're a little negative. However, if you can parse from that, the innovation is dramatic. It is fascinating.
But here's the thing. The point I'm trying to make is that all this is incredible, but whatever happens with robotics, it's not going to replace my iPhone or my need for a computer, most likely. That's the point I'm trying to make. Like, it's going to disrupt a lot of industries, but I don't think it's going to disrupt Apple or Microsoft Amazon is fully into automation and leveraging robotics, but it's
no. I guess what I could say to yes and you is that is more high level consumer. Like, you have to go consumer, prosumer, pro, and pro would be manufacturing. Prosumer would be, I don't even know what we do with robotics, and then consumer would be like your automated vacuums or whatever. So, the Vision Pro was not a flop. If we go back to that, not a flop as far as technology. Technology-wise, revolutionary. Like, holy God. However, not a consumer-level device. That amount of money for what Apple developed and pushed out, consumers could not handle. That was a prosumer. That's for doctors and scientists and
Early adopters.
Yeah, like again, you're doing a Pro Max, and that's Vision Pro. Maybe early adopters, sure. So I would say with you is that robotics is not going to be cheap in the get-go. And then even with AI, it's not going to be cheap. However, and then this is just, whatever. Now, 10 years from now, 15 years from now, sure. So I guess I agree with you on that, is that robotics probably is something you have to keep your eye on, but if we're doing this podcast 10 years from now, which I hope, yeah, we'll be talking about it then.
Yeah. So I did post something on X today, and I said that the ChatGPT moment for robotics will happen this year. And what I mean by that is there will be a breakthrough in robotics that I think will make a lot of people realize what it can do for them in their day-to-day life. So
you're talking about chat over, well, OpenAI is chat, right?
Yeah, ChatGPT is OpenAI.
Okay.
So when they put out ChatGPT, which was using like the 3.5 model, people went, "Holy crap! I can just put in questions and I get answers." Like this is amazing. Like it was a watershed moment, and everybody goes, "Oh, this is the next big thing." And clearly it was, because OpenAI and Anthropic and all the others have raised billions upon billions of gajillions of dollars and are making money hand over fist, and the whole world's on fire because of AI. And so I'm saying that process will begin this year with robotics. And there's a few early things. There's an Asimov, which is an open source humanoid robot project, which is really cool.
Humanoid robot.
Yeah, basically it's
Android.
It's iRobot that you can build yourself in your own home.
Oh, good. As long as it has the 3 levels of whatever it doesn't do to a human, I'll be fine.
No, it does not have Asimov's laws embedded in it.
Oh, good. So if it feels threatened, you're screwed.
Toast. So I mean, here's the thing. I'm planning on setting up my garden, my pepper garden, like I do every year. And
this time I'm going to have a robot tend it for me.
That's literally where I was going. I'm going to see how much of this process I can automate using robotics. And I think it's going to be pretty sick.
I mean, sure, dude. How dope could it be that, like, you could tell a little robot gnome to,
my little garden gnome.
Yeah, dude. I mean, that is sick.
Yeah. So we'll see.
It's different from a vacuum that's like, oh, you told me to vacuum. Today's Monday.
Oh, your dog shit on the floor? I'm going to spread it all over the place.
Well, there's better vacuums than that now. Come on.
Yeah, vacuum tech has come a long way, but it's still pretty dumb. But yeah, we've gotten way off topic from talking about the Xbox CEO.
I don't think so. I think it's, what are these new folks gonna have to deal with and struggle with and juggle, and then you've got to make your money. You've got to help the board and the investors make money, and these are things that
you got to keep it on your radar, because
Phil's like, I'm glad for Phil and I'm glad for Tim, because this is a whole new realm. And you know what? I did 20 to 30 years, which is crazy, by the way. That's amazing, and that's so good for CEOs of that level. And they're like, oh, you want me out or I want out? Good. Both of them are like, yeah. This is probably a good time.
I'm imagining my dad, who was in the steel industry for 40 plus years, working for the same company, just Like him today would be like, I'm too old for this shit.
This is like, even for tech people, it's going, and we say it every episode, it's going so fast that if we didn't do this podcast, I don't know if we would be able to keep up.
I don't even know if we are keeping up, to be completely honest. We're doing our damnedest, but man, it's moving fast.
And that's crazy. It's never happened like this, ever. Ever.
No, everything is moving faster, everything is accelerating, and
I mean, my fear, and everybody else's fear too, is like you're moving too fast without considerations. And yes, we all agree to that. But we have no control. We have no control, honestly. So
here's the thing too, is a lot of laws have been like proposed in Congress and also at the state level on kind of like reeling in AI, putting limitations on things.
EU is really big on it. Right?
Well, EU, I don't even like talking about the EU because they're just so back-asswards. But shout out to my people in Sweden. I love you.
When it comes to this, they are really hardcore about it.
Yeah, but here's the thing. If you slow down, you will get lapped by the people who are not. And you know who's not? China. And like, do you want to have China take over the world? I personally don't.
Right now, okay, so that's interesting. So you're talking like, especially robotics. We've talked about it, especially manufacturing robotics. Well, we haven't, but like we've known since we were kids that like China was shifted to manufacturing. So China went probably at first, not happy. But they shifted, and now
they became the world's factory.
Yeah, and because of Microsoft and Apple and IBM and Hewlett-Packard and so many other people, NVIDIA. So you built that, you helped structure that, you even helped them figure out education levels and whatever to stay within that, so that people can still go up in level and get income and whatever. But they have a whole built structure now over the last 30 years-ish of that.
Really the last 20.
Who's to blame?
Oh, we are
that's not where I was going with it, but really was that was my first thought. I was like, who's playing? Well, it's us. You started it, and you kept feeding the fire. But you don't hear about any AI. We still see robotics all the time. But you don't see any AI through China, correct?
Yes, you do.
Ta-ha!
So there are two segments. There are the closed models, which is OpenAI's ChatGPT 5.4, whatever. You have Anthropic's Claude Opus 4.6, and then you have...
So are those Chinese? They're not American?
No, I'm getting there.
Okay, sorry. Okay,
then you have Google Gemini Pro 3.1. So those are all the leading edge closed source models. Those are all American. And then you have a series of Chinese models. You have Qwen, and that's the one I'm using most recently. And then there's 3 or 4 others, DeepSeek, whatnot, and they're right behind. But the difference is they're open source models. Anybody can download them and run them on whatever machine that they want, which is drastically different from the way the closed models operate. So the United States has taken a very closed model approach, and China is very much an open source. Like, they put this shit out for free because they want to do what they've done with manufacturing and have the world come to them for those models, and then hopefully for the systems around those models, which would be the infrastructure, and then they can disseminate routers and software architecture and everything all over the world. So it's very much an East versus West right now.
What's the difference? Like, does this go back to like Windows versus Linux or Mac versus Linux? Or is this something different when it comes to closed source and open source? What a cool episode.
I think it's very close to Windows versus Linux, but even then I wouldn't even describe it that way, because there's so many differences, because it's not just Windows. It's you have multiple competing companies that are all pretty even on their own footing, and then you have multiple open source companies. And here's the thing: it's quite funny that people have been digging around the source code and looking at what the Chinese models are outputting, and a lot of them are just distilled models. So Anthropic found that one of the Chinese companies was hitting their servers tens of thousands of times a day, and basically using that information to distill their own model. So basically they were trying to steal Anthropic's Claude Opus 4.6 and create their own model by querying and asking it what it would do in these situations, and create their own model based on the output from that. And they cut it off, but after tens of thousands of queries. And so whether or not the actual Chinese models are built on their own or just stolen effectively, because that's what most Chinese tech is stolen from American tech. But hey, I mean, there's virtually no legal recourse on any of that. So they just put it back out into the world, and anybody, including myself, can download it and run it on their own machine. And then I don't have to use American models.
What's the implications? Like, should I just use a Chinese open source and have more freedom? Or what's the limitations then?
The American models are better, albeit only marginally in some regards. But I mean, the models are always getting better all the time. As for why, I mean, here's the thing: the Chinese models you can run on OpenRouter for a tenth of the cost, and that's the huge difference. And for most what people are doing, you don't need the most expensive model. And so if you can figure out how to delegate which tasks to which model, I think you're going to have a combination of American AI and Chinese AI. If you
are you meaning like you could run on a cheaper PC or a cheaper PC or Mac, or what are you meaning by like it's lesser haul?
So like if you want to run Claude Opus 4.6, you're going to pay a certain amount per token. It's like I don't know what it is off the top of it, but like
you say token, but like I'm used to subscription. So is this a subscription or is this a token? And is a token like different from a subscription?
So I'm talking specifically in terms of API usage, which is not a subscription. You pay per token effectively. So it's like $5 per 1 million tokens input, which is the equivalent of 5 million words, if you will. It's not exactly words, but that's the easiest layman.
So it's like in the easiest way, it's like the old text. It's like if you went beyond so many font or text, you had to pay more money to AT&T, Verizon, whatever, until we went to unlimited text.
Yeah. So you would pay per input, and then there's also a cost per whatever the output is. And so the Chinese models running on whatever hardware, wherever it is 1/10 the cost. Hey, look at that. Jarrad found $20 in his pocket. Good job. So it's significantly cheaper. And so if you want to run the Chinese models instead of running the like Claude Sonnet, which is a cheaper, faster version of Claude Opus, like you're going to get more bang for your buck. And really that's what it's going to come down to at the end of the day. If you're optimizing for cost, which if you are going through billions of tokens a week or month or day or whatever your rate is, then you're going to want to optimize for that. And so I think that'll be interesting to see how that plays out in the long term of which of these models wins via adoption. TBD.
That was great, and I loved asking you questions because other people were probably asking.
No, the clarifying questions were fantastic because I realized
that's why I'm here
all the time, and I'm like, most people listening probably don't know what a token is aside from the thing that you put in your arcade slot.
Well, you've dedicated so much time to learning the AI and trying out the AI, like part of this podcast, and you wanted this. You wanted to really do that. So if it wasn't for me to be the idiot to be like, I don't know, then I can't pull that information and knowledge out of your head. I am going to move forward, which is a cool transition because it is AI. And it's something that I think everybody forgot about that we've already been using. And it was one of the things with the Switch 2 that we were very excited about. But NVIDIA didn't maybe do the greatest intro with it. And that is DLSS 5. And if you break down DLSS, it is something learning.
It's not.
It's designer learning, developer learning. What is the DL? Which kind of like tells you like this is AI.
Deep learning super sampling.
Thank you. So it's deep learning, generative sampling.
Can I take it over from here?
Oh my God! I just got poo-pooed on.
I saw what you were trying to do, and I'm like, I know how to translate from the geek speak to the regular people speak. So what DLSS does, Jarrad's flipping me off, and it's beautiful.
Fucking dick.
So what they did is they trained a whole lot of game footage and said, hey, this is the input footage at, let's say, 720 or 1440, and here is the equivalent footage, what it should look like at 4K.
Yeah, it was a big deal for Switch 2. So it had been run before that, but it was a big deal for a hybrid mobile like Switch was.
Yeah, so they were able to configure all of this stuff, run all these models, and basically there's a model for every game, and it can even be more specific to the type of scene and things like that. And basically it allows you to get a higher res output at more frames per second because you're not computing each individual frame the hard way. You're basically skipping some steps and saying, hey, DLSS, give me what the next frame is. And basically you double your frame rate and improve the quality. And people are like, originally it was like, oh, that's super cool. That was great. But what they've done with DLSS 5 is they've taken it to the next level. So you may have your output at kind of like your low res settings, and then they have a rendering of what the artists, if they were given all the potential compute hardware they could ever want, what would be the output? And like stuff that is far beyond what is on your typical high-end gaming PC. And basically they said, let's do that. Let's output to that standard. And so now you feed it in your base level input, and your output is now almost cinematic level graphics. Did you get a chance to look at the DLSS 5 footage?
I did. I looked at a lot of it.
On my chair.
Yeah, and I looked at a lot since then, and I've read and watched a lot of people's reactions to NVIDIA's little showcase and everything. As somebody who's not as pro, I poo-poo myself on this, and I shouldn't, I guess, but I'm going to anyway. Somebody who's not as pro as Erik. At first, I was like, this all looks too oversampled, too rendered, Rendell-gore, too rendered. However, I did think of something, and a few reviewers did like chime in the same as me. NVIDIA was trying to show. I gotta pull the hood down. It's not working, even though it's cold outside. Also, I'm filming a podcast at high bit rate outside, so I could camp and still do this podcast. I just keep on testing it. A few reviewers also stated this, and I agree with this. So if anyone who has looked at DLSS 5 in the examples that NVIDIA showed, they're showing Hogwarts, they're showing Starfield, they're showing a few other games. Oh, the brand newest game from Capcom, Requiem. And it is more pretty, it's more beautiful, and it is more realistic. What I agreed with a few reviewers was this. We saw years of footage, or now we're playing hours of gameplay, and this was a stark contrast to what we've been playing. And so then it looks artificial. It looks like, quote unquote, AI slop. I think there is a room for AI slop. I don't think this was AI slop. This is an example of current existing things. If you were shown a new, and this is my defense to this, if you were shown a new video game, say it was Marathon, which you have in the background of your video. Yeah, point it. Ta-da! You don't see it. It's fine, folks. It's there. If this was Marathon with DLSS 5, people would poo-poo their pants. If this was Crimson Desert, which has also been a hot topic over the last week, nobody would have no confusion, because this is what the game came out to consumers. Going back to consumers, this is what it came out to consumers. However, consumers got all these other games, and then you see this, not a DLSS 4 or 3 or 2, a 5 was a dramatic change in. The original was like, OG, going back, ray tracing and then path tracing. Ray tracing was unbelievable. We saw that in like future Lara Croft movies, and then path changing, Jesus Christ, path tracing. And that was the start of DLSS. And now we've seen where it can help lower end models like, and I'm not saying Nintendo Switch is a lower end model, but a lower end type device do pretty great graphics and frame rates.
Like DLSS has typically, the upsell has definitely been around frame rate. It hasn't been so much about the visual quality. And I think that's
it does.
A big difference for DLSS 5.
It has helped, though, if you look at especially background scenes from DLSS 1 and 2 and even 3. It evolved ray tracing and path tracing. So, like, your particle effects have gotten a lot better with DLSS. So, I agree with you. And also I showed the audience, and that also, it does help with some of that stuff. Well, DLSS 5 was a controversy, and still is, it's current right now, that you're now changing who the character is. But, listen, corgis. But, that I don't... my battle is that I don't think DLSS 5 is bad. My argument to anybody who thinks it is that you saw footage that you already know, and it is up to the studio, the publisher, the developers, and then down to, which is what the big thing has been, the artist. What is the artist's intent of what they want the game to look like? What are they doing with Unreal or any other engine their best? And yeah.
You 100% nailed it. And that's exactly what I was going to say, is that it is literally just a piece of technology that is in the developer and the artist toolkit. And they could use it however they want. They can choose not to use it. And
I think there's even a scale on it too. Like, and I think NVIDIA even mentioned, like, they'll be able to, almost like in Lightroom, you'll be able to scale it up, scale it down, or even give more developers more nuance. Like, not just scale it up and down, but like, how much do you want to use of this? And will that help your artists with their intent of how they want it to look? Capcom and Bethesda are all in. Bethesda is Microsoft, so whatever. Capcom is all in on using DLSS 5. I don't know if they're wanting to use it for the new Requiem game, but they are saying that, like, future games, and Capcom's been killing it for the last 5 years. Jesus Christ. They've come out of nowhere and been like, haha, hello. So, but that's also something that is nobody is talking about that side of DLSS 5. I'm not saying DLSS 5 is great, but I'm saying that it is another tool, and that is something we talk about a lot in this podcast, that it's a tool to help and support. This looks like a next evolution to what you're seeing, with better frame rates on a lower end system, better graphics, better whatever. Do I want like hyper realism and all that? Honestly, no. I said that in past episodes. I want to escape the world. I like Marathon because they're artistic. I love everything about Marathon. God, I hope it does good. It's not doing great. I don't think it's doing... I would like it to see above 100 or even 200. Right now, it's just shy of 100 subscribers.
About, like daily active.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, here's the thing you got to think about too. Marathon is a multi-platform game, so those numbers are just Steam numbers. That doesn't account for PlayStation and Xbox. And I will tell you, Marathon is the most fun I've had with a game, and I don't know how long. I've stopped playing everything else, and whenever I have
secretly, we want a sponsorship, and if we could, just keep promoting this game, we will, because we like it. Like, it's really good, dude.
It's so much fun, and the new content that they've just put out, like, I haven't had time because they're only doing some of the new content on weekends, and that's not really my peak playtime, unfortunately, especially this weekend with the baby sprinkle.
But my point is artist intent, and that has been everybody, like, especially everybody thinking about it and then coming down off their little hot fervor of like DLSS 5, holy Jesus, what this 20-year-old kid, this is the classic of Hogwarts Legacy. Well, he's not 20, he's like 10, and he looks like he's 30. Like, okay, stop, wait, just slow down. Yes, that was a kid that you saw for the last 5 years. Like, it just got like remastered and da-da-da, and now it's on Switch 2, and so way more people are playing it because Switch 2, compatibility and, portability. But they were showing an example of what it can do, but it's up to the publisher. You can poo-poo on the publisher, you can poo-poo on the studio, but we're also seeing stuff that, like, it's already been out. Already, like, Requiem is, like, blowing numbers. Like, Resident Evil 9 is, holy shit, it's doing gangbusters for Capcom. It's doing so good, and it's such a great game. Like, go buy it. You will not regret it at all, period. Coming into the future with also, you have all these options, and not you, the studios, the publishers, the artists. Like, just take a moment.
Also, I'd like to remind the audience that all this is optional. You don't have to turn it on.
No.
If you don't want it, don't use it.
Here's my, like, I always thought of DLSS as, and I think we've been seeing that as Apple software has been improving for gaming API, as the architecture for hardware has been improving for gaming, as the screens latency has been improving for gaming. Capcom, Konami, other Dead Cells, and other folks, Ubisofts, have been your Square Enixes. They've been porting that stuff to iPhones and iPads. DLSS does have an effect. Part of that was ray tracing back in the day. That was the baby steps towards that. Metal Effects is another version of that. PlayStation's PSS R5 or whatever it is, PRRS, it's another version of that.
Yeah, absolutely.
This does help also with, if you have a tablet, you have an iPhone, you have an Android, you don't have a big rig PC, you don't have a laptop, or you only have an iPad or a MacBook Air. This will only improve helping play games like Overwatch or whatever, which is my dream.
So yeah, I'm excited for the future. I'm excited where technology is going. I think we just gotta wait and see how it's adopted by developers and publishers, really. And at the end of the day, if you don't want to use it, don't use it.
Yeah.
But let's talk about some stuff that is eye-poppingly, visually incredible, and that would be the movies. And I know you got some stuff queued up here, but before we get into that, I want to talk about how Project Hail Mary has just been blowing up. Like 96% on Rotten Tomatoes. Amazon's best movie ever as a studio.
It's crazy. It was Amazon, right? That's nuts, man.
Yeah, I mean, MGM via Amazon. And personally, like, I want to see this movie in IMAX. I will see it in IMAX.
So we went out last night to see the musical of The Wiz, which also, now in 2026, what a great movie. Also reminds you of, like, what we all need to do and what you need to do and the struggles you face every day. What a great movie, or a great musical. We went to Indianapolis, went to Broad Ripple, went to Kilroy's, fuck you IU, but I love Kilroy's. And we hung out. And the two people we hung out with, Emily and Scotty, love you both, they went and saw it. Emily gave the coolest review that I think, even of all the reviews I've seen IGN and other people give, was this is the closest adaptation of a book to a movie she's ever seen, ever. And I don't deny that from Emily. You can poo-poo us in the comments, but Emily's a special soul, and I love her very much. And she loves The Martian and Hail Mary and all that. So that's great. I really want to see this in the theater. I don't know if we're going to have time and whatever, but I really want to.
So I will also call out one other thing, is that in a day and age where AI is taking over everything, all of the internal sets were all fabricated. Everything internally is real. When you look at the way zero gravity was handled, like they rotate the entire set while filming. Like it is all practical, like not all practical effects,
that's great.
But it is hardcore practical effects, and that
speaks volumes, right? Like, I guess in this day and age, because we have to say that, like, oh, is that like CG generated? Because a lot of Marvel is, or DC, or whatever. Like, but for them to take that extra effort, that means a lot.
And I think, honestly, we're starting to see the ROI on that investment be even larger than it used to be, because people are taking shortcuts. You can see the shortcuts, but when people do things the right way, they build out the sets properly so that the artists and the actors can interact with them, see them, like Project Hail Mary being the most recent example. But you look back to last summer, you have Alien Earth, when really Scott stepped on scene, was like, oh my God, this is my set from the original Alien. And like they did such a meticulous job in crafting everything, and that came through. And like Alien Earth was just really well received.
Yeah, it feels more realistic, right? Because it is realistic. It's you're there in it, so then you're in it.
And we're gonna see that, I guarantee you, with Christopher Nolan's The Odyssey this summer. Because we know he's all about them practical effects.
Inception was really weird, man. Like, so okay.
They built they grew an entire cornfield for him to drive through it. That is how focused on practical effects that mofo is.
I have so many jokes in my head, but I can't like just spat them out right now. You grow corn, you're in it.
But let's talk about some upcoming movies.
Brand new day in Doomsday. So right now, analysts are analyzing, because they're analysts. They're not like, this isn't proven shit, yo. Why you gotta laugh at me? Like, listen, man.
Wait, the analysts are analyzing things. Hold the process.
I mean, hey, if you didn't get it, you get it. Why do you have the title? That's why. So for Marvel, Brand New Day, Spider-Man, and Doomsday. Analysts. Avengers. Spider-Man and Avengers. Brand New Day, Doomsday. They're all in all a very great majority of people are saying, like, these both could be box office, which is crazy in this day and age, $2 billion movies. This would be a first in a very long time for Marvel. This could also help AMC, who AMC currently is at 98 cents in the stock market, New York Stock Exchange. And along with Paramount, they have billions of dollars that they owe. and I'm going to side note, this with Sonic 4, with Masters, with Mortal Kombat, with all of these geek shit, which I love, this could help AMC. But going back to Marvel, this could be the first in a long time. We did a previous episode of where, like, I think it was Avengers, New America, Captain New America with the Red Hulk and whatever. I don't even remember. I didn't watch it. And with Thunderbolts, that they didn't even hit 1 million. But most Marvel movies hit $1 million. There's a few, and there are a very few in the global scheme of films that hit a 2 billion, and it's a big deal in Hollywood. Like, you get little, almost like WWE belts, like, like, oh, I did it. And analysts are projecting, that's the word I was looking for, that these two movies are going to do really good. And this seems to be a year, great movies that we're all excited for, and the audiences, the consumers, not the pros or anything else, the consumers are also really excited to go see, to the point that even like Mario's advertising for IMAX, and my family was like, should we like go to a specialized theater to see Mario at IMAX? I said no, but yeah, I really do. He-Man, I know Mortal Kombat's going to be IMAX, so I'm totally going to see Mortal Kombat IMAX, like, period. But this is exciting. As like, studios are kind of like really getting in the dirt of like, are they going to like sink or swim? And other studios, not Paramount, other studios are putting out some really crazy, cool stuff that is kind of beyond the 1980s thing, and people are really hyped. And with this, Marvel is really coming in, and from what people are talking about, nobody can say anything because of NDAs, but they can say at least this. People have read the scripts for Doomsday. People have read the scripts for Brand New Day. And you will be more excited than you have been for the other movies. They're really...
They need to have happen because we've had a drought.
And we've said that in past. So, like, they really need to nail this and bring it home. Tom Holland, I think, is on a podcast. I think it's like an hour and 40 minutes of Rich Holland, I think his name is. It's a beautiful podcast. And you can see it on YouTube, too. It's gorgeous. It's just a beautiful, intimate podcast with Tom Holland. I mean, it is, man. Not him, but like the podcast is beautiful. But yeah, it shows his side of his development as a man, as an actor, as, you know, whatever. It's really good. And I think it even gives more gravitas to Brand New Day. If you think this is a Sony with Marvel's approval and production value also, because they spent, I think, 60% of the money into this film, like, you'd be wrong. This is a really good collaboration of every piston firing at the same level. This is Sony, Marvel, and then directors, producers, actors, screenwriters, like everybody. So this new Spider-Man will be the start of something grandiose. Now, if they pull anything after that, I don't know. But this will be, I think, the opus for Tom Holland. And everybody's analytical part is, will this be the opus and the start to then Doomsday? And I agree. If Brand New Day if it doesn't land, it's going to be a little bit more of a struggle, and they're going to have to do more marketing for Doomsday.
I think it'll land, and I think it'll tee up Doomsday perfectly. I mean, Kevin Feige and the entire group at Marvel is like, they're all in on both these movies, and they're like, when they put their mind to it, they execute. And
I feel like they did in the last movie, but I feel like this is the first movie where this is a pure 50-50 collaboration. And they had some contracting deals too. But like, this is a pure 50-50 collaboration of Sony and Marvel doing this movie. So then putting both their monies together, all the greatest teams. So if you're going to see a movie this, other than Sonic and Mortal Kombat, like Spider-Man, this is going to be a movie you go see in the theater.
What are you talking about? Go see Spider-Man before you see Mortal Kombat or Sonic.
Well, because they'll come out after that, so you have to go see Spider-Man first.
All right. I mean, I'm pretty excited for Spider-Man. I will call out that the trailer broke all sorts of records, if I'm not mistaken. I personally haven't watched it yet because I've been busy. But Rachel and I will absolutely watch it. That's the first thing we're doing tonight when I go downstairs. I'm pretty hopped up for it. But yeah, I mean that
numbers excelled. I think Deadpool and Wolverine. What were the numbers, Eric?
718.6 million views for Brand New Day, and Deadpool and Wolverine only had 365 million. So almost double. Yeah. Okay. Shout out to Jarrad for doing the research. But man, it's an exciting year for movies if you're a geek, I gotta say. I just gotta figure out how I'm gonna go to the theater.
So to be a person on a MacBook and just flow around as I have to do things.
All right. Well, I think we need to wrap up here because it is bedtime and I'm right next door. That's why I'm speaking very, very, very quietly. So thank you for tuning in to all you geeks and geekettes. This has been another wonderful episode of the Geekoid Podcast. Myself, Eric Westland, and my bestie, Jarrad Shaw. Like, subscribe, do all the things. Geekoid.com, GEEQOID.com. And yeah, you can find us on all the socials. Any final parting words, my brother?
No, you did it, dude.
All right, I do the things. Don't forget, sign up on the website so you can get our newsletter, which is coming out this Friday.
It's gonna happen.
It's gonna happen, and you don't want to miss it. It's gonna be a banger when it does. All right, love, peace.
End of transmission.